Wow.
I could drive out of there.
Wow. They like it when, that's why they give people free oil changes, because they come in and look. Well, that's doable. Right. Hey there. I don't need any of that. Can't complain. Busy. That's right. Yep, thanks. Oh, yep. No, it'll come to me. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. It is 1 o'clock p.m. We're going to go ahead and call today's workshop meeting to order. This is the Flagler County Board of County Commissioners workshop. It's Monday, September 15th, 2025. It is 1:01 p.m. And if I could have everybody stand for the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time of the meeting, we'll go ahead and take a brief moment of silence. This is a brief moment of reflection as we take time to honor the men and women in our military and our first responders for keeping us safe abroad and here at home. All right, thank you. Again, welcome everybody. Good to see a good crowd here today. We've got a couple of big items for today's agenda. The first is a presentation of the vulnerability assessment, and this is from the Northeast Florida Regional Council. So at this time, Ms. Petito, did you want to start on anything or have?
I would go ahead and open it up to Northeast Florida Regional
Okay,
Council.
so Andrew, just state your name for the record, and then the floor is yours.
My name is Andrew Prokopiak, and I'm the Senior Resiliency Planner at the Northeast Florida Regional Council. So today I'm here to talk to you about two things. I'm here to talk to you about the vulnerability assessment that was completed late last year.
Might want to try pick that mic as far up as it'll
I
go.
can-
You're a
I
tall
can-
guy.
I can stand right here.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm here to talk about both the vulnerability assessment that was completed late last year and the compound flooding analysis that was recently completed for Flagler County. I'm going to keep this really high level and make things real easy to understand. So essentially, what is a vulnerability assessment? It is a scientific study that is done to assess hazards from flood, both depth, water depth, and the sensitivity of the underlying asset. So why did Flagler County complete a vulnerability assessment? Well, Flagler County wanted to identify structures, infrastructure, and other assets that were specifically at risk from floodwaters, being a coastal county. It also allows you to prioritize resiliency planning so that you're not throwing darts at a dartboard, go, that looks like a great project to add to, that looks like, no, this is a hard, concrete, data-backed analysis on what projects should you prioritize. The other reasons you had to do it is it was mandated by the state. It is a compliance issue. So the state mandated that all counties need to complete a vulnerability assessment. And it is also essentially a key in the door to unlocking resiliency and other funding. So this was mandated. If you want DEP money, you had to have this done first. The other good thing is that this provides compliance also to the municipalities within Flagler County. So the municipalities are more than welcome to complete their own vulnerability assessments with state money if selected, but they do not have to do so because Flagler County covered them.
May I stop? I have
Go right
a
ahead.
question. Is there a reason why planning isn't here? Have they seen this presentation? Do they know the data? Is there a reason why planning is not here?
I don't know why they're not here, but I know that they have seen the data, and then you also have a public outreach. I believe it's being presented again, I think, is it Thursday night?
Thank you.
Yes, we're having a public presentation where we've invited the general public to come and learn about this project. It should be next Thursday at the Flagler County EOC from 5:30 to 7.
Thank you.
And this is one of several meetings you've already done with the municipalities, right?
That is correct. We have visited every municipality within Flagler with the exception of Marine Land, which will be done on Thursday evening. So we've been everywhere presenting this exact same presentation with this exact same data. So this is an exhaustive list of assets. And this is what the state considers to be a critical asset. I won't list off everything, but it covers everything from wastewater treatment plants to your natural parks and shorelines. So, but this is what the state considers a critical asset when it comes to vulnerability assessments. So as part of the Florida Statute 380.093, which is the Resilient Florida Grant Program, which is what enabled vulnerability assessments to be funded by the state, there are three main hazards that are looked at as part of this vulnerability assessment. There's your rainfall-induced flooding, or 100 and 500-year storms, as they're commonly known. There's storm surge flooding, which is the amount of water that's pushed inland from a hurricane, usually either Category 1 through 5. And then there's the tidal flooding, which is the mean high, higher water, or nuisance flooding. It's sunny day flooding. It's a bright sunny day. Why is the road covered in water? Just because you had a king tide coupled with a lot of rain, and so that's what we consider nuisance flooding. But it is still analyzed and studied.
It was highly newsworthy the last few days, the king tides.
Yes.
We have it in my neighborhood, and the sheriff's lot was about half underwater.
That's why we study it, so that we know, because you know where it floods, but now you have the data to support, oh, well, it definitely says it floods here, in addition to the fact that we know it floods. The other hazard that's still in its infancy as far as being analyzed and studied in the state in general is what's called compound flooding. And that is when multiple flood hazards all occur at the same time. And a lot of people are under the misconception that you can just add, oh, we're going to get 3 feet of water from this storm, and we're going to get 2 feet of water from this event, and we're just going to add them together, and, oh, it's that much. The hydrological differences in that are far more minute and much harder to analyze. In fact, Flagler County is one of the first in the region to have completed a compound flooding analysis next to Duval County. So what else does a vulnerability assessment cover? The vulnerability assessment covers what's known as sea level rise. And this is modeled along with all of the other flood hazards. So we model sea level rise on 100 and 500-year storms, nuisance flooding, tidal flooding, storm surge. All of that basically gets compounded with the sea level rise. We look at 4 different planning horizons. We look at the planning horizon for 2040 and 2070, both with the intermediate low and intermediate high margins. And you can see on the chart here from the NOAA 2022 guidelines for sea level rise that anywhere between 1 and 3 feet is to be expected by 2100. So this is a long-term planning horizon tool. Okay, so as part of vulnerability assessments, the state has some requirements and the state has some recommended items. So the only thing that is required by the state is data in a GIS format, the exposure analysis, which analyzes the depth of the water at any particular asset, and then the sensitivity analysis. And that's a report of how at risk those assets are. Instead of just looking at the depth, we look at what that asset is. Is it a 100-year-old historical downtown structure? Well, that's not going to bounce back nearly as fast as a green space. So that changes how we rank the sensitivity based on the asset type. The other items are recommended by the state. So community outreach and public presentations of the findings. We are here right now. And the other aspect was a focus area workshopping, or workshopping of focus area. So Flagler County has 3 focus areas, and we're looking at beaches, transportation and evacuation routes, and other critical infrastructure. Those are the 3 main things that Flagler County wants to prioritize. So last year, the vulnerability assessment was completed in partnership with Half and Associates. And this is a representation of the maps and the analysis that the vulnerability assessment shows. So in this case, purple is bad and red is good. I know that is counterproductive, but there were no guidelines by the state on color coding these maps. So just make sure anytime you're looking at these maps, always look at the legend to make sure that you're looking at the right thing. But this map definitely shows just how at risk the coastal areas of Flagler County and the municipalities are. You can see in certain areas up near Marineland, 10 or more feet in a 500-year storm. And that's, I mean, you know that's what's going to happen, but now it's a lot better to see it visualized. And here is the vulnerability assessment out near Western Flagler and Crescent Lake. It's a lot less impactful until you see the next slide. Or the following slide. So the compound flooding analysis was done by Taylor Engineering and completed, and it is available publicly, and we're happy to provide it to anybody, and I'll have a link on where to obtain that at the end of the presentation. So now we're going to talk about the difference between the vulnerability assessment and the compound flooding analysis. So the image on the right there, the hashed lines is the extent of what the vulnerability assessment model shows. The blue is what the compound flooding analysis shows, and just how much of a difference analyzing compound flooding makes and how much more water you're going to see with an event like that. You can see this, just the same thing in coastal Flagler. Down very south of Palm Coast, you can see that it extends far beyond just the roadways and the hash marks. So this is a really important planning tool for visualizing just how much water a compound flood event potentially could bring to the area. And so this is another representation on the left of the difference between a VA model and the compound flooding analysis. But the image on the right is the water depth difference in that analysis. So you can see that up in the wetland area in northern Flagler, you can see almost a 4-foot difference between what the vulnerability assessment and what the compound flooding analysis is going to provide. And this is at 2040 intermediate low from the NOAA 2017 model and a 1% storm. The other part of the compound flooding analysis was the adaptation plan. And this, like I said, the vulnerability assessment was the key in the door. The adaptation plan is essentially the door that allows you to obtain additional funding, whether it be state, federal, or other. So the idea of that is to have a ready-made list of adaptation plans for the priority areas in both medium and short term to help prioritize projects. And I create a, what's the word? I'm sorry, my image is blank. But it really allows you to prioritize projects based on your needs in the county. So just some examples of the adaptation plan. So in roadway and evacuation routes, this is almost polar opposites. You have the bioswales, which is essentially a ditch with vegetation in it. But as we've all seen, a cleared lot doesn't drain nearly as fast as a lot with a lot of rooted structures and trees and vegetation. So the idea is that in your bioswales, you add vegetation to, and that helps drain them much faster. The other is far more expensive and is a roadway elevation. And it's gonna come down to what circumstances are for what assets and what sections. That's gonna determine what adaptation plans you should do. Beaches and coastal zones, beach renourishment, that's already happening here. In addition to beach renourishment, you can actually do the natural vegetation, plant seagrass, put rooted structures in those dunes to help them be more resilient to stormwater. The other thing, critical infrastructure, everything from elevating lift stations to moving your utilities underground, both of which very expensive, but there are very few options outside of that for some of that infrastructure. So, how can this data be used? There's going to be a caveat here when I say this. So data can be used to update numerous plans like land development codes, stormwater master plans, comprehensive plans. That has an asterisk at the moment with Senate Bill 180. There's not really a good understanding of if this would be more burdensome to adapt this to a land development code. But again, that's something we'll have to work out as a region. But this data can also be used to prioritize projects. So without changing plans like comp plans and land development codes, you can still use this plan to help guide development as far as, well, this area might be extensively flooded. Maybe the planning department want to recommend reorganizing based on this data, but not using it as part of the comp plan. This data can also be used to be integrated into a dashboard. Like most RGIS dashboards throughout the region have FEMA flood zone maps listed on them with the firm dates. This data can also be incorporated into a GIS system to allow just an idea of what kind of water you're going to get in certain areas. And as you can see, this is coastal Palm Coast flooding with the infrastructure. So you can see how we modeled all the piping and all of the lift stations and all of that on top of the vulnerability assessment. And so what can we provide? We can provide you the data. We can provide maps and assets. And this is all hosted on our Resilient First Coast website. So this is a regional repository of vulnerability assessments for all counties with the exception of Baker because they are not yet complete. But this houses the compound flooding analysis, this houses the vulnerability assessment, this houses maps for each flood hazard, along with each asset category. So if you were on a look at transportation maps and look at just how much water you're going to see from a 100-year flood at a 2040 sea level rise, you can absolutely go there. And the PDF maps work just like there's a legend, and you can turn on and off particular assets to only focus on exactly what you want. But again, it's a start as far as where you can look. And that QR code takes you right to the Resilient First Coast website. So,
Can I ask you a simple question?
you sure can.
Being a Floridian, especially from this tropical area, rain seems to be 10 years on, 10 years out type of thing. We've had very strong rains this year. So, of course, you've done this during this time when it's rained more than ever. When I moved here 20 years ago, I said, it's so dry. And then we had rain, and then we had dry. So now we're back in that rain cycle. Does that affect this plan at all?
No, we're not looking at the historical trends of a dry year, a wet year. We're looking at just pure rainfall metrics based on those particular flood hazards. We did at the NEFRC, along with a bunch of regional partners, develop what's called a future extreme rainfall model, which also uses these similar planning horizons to determine just how much more rain we're expected to receive on these future planning horizons. And that is also data we are happy to share. And that was a collaborative effort through a multi-regional council partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question?
Yes. So on slide 16, where you talk about Flagler County adaptation plan, it appears as though Flagler County was funded to develop. How do we develop that? Who do we develop that with? What are the next steps?
The
on that?
adaptation plan, we're in process of writing the adaptation plan right now.
Okay.
So that will be available at the end of the year. So that is still forthcoming. I'm in fact writing it right now. So
Thank you.
there'll be a very rough draft version available next week at the meeting. So you'll be able to take a look at it. But again, it's a draft, and the final product will look very different.
Mr. Hanson, any questions? No, sir. Now, at this stage, based on your data, we can start analyzing the most vulnerable assets.
That is correct.
And the key to this will be providing the backup data for grants as we start applying them through the Resilient Florida Grant Program. This is that independent third-party source that's
That is correct.
always valuable.
So the vulnerability assessment is the key in the door. The adaptation plan essentially opens the door because DEP and other entities are going to look to see that you have this. You have these items. That's going to be a checkbox for DEP, or you're just going to get the big red X on it, and they're going to go, nope, you're not done. You have to do this in order to obtain this. And it will look, even if it wasn't a requirement for either federal or other nonprofit funding, this looks way better to have. This will put you in I don't want to say a higher bracket, but yes, it looks more favorable when you have additional data and additional analysis that's done that shows that you are in fact prioritizing certain projects, certain assets, certain areas that are inherently at risk.
I think the hardest part visually is with the red, not assuming that the red is the worst impact.
That is correct. That's why we went red far worse for the Taylor engineering studies.
All right.
But since this is all GIS based, your GIS department could easily generate their own maps. To that end, I had our GIS planner render out some maps specifically for Flagler County, showing some of the flood hazards and the differences between the compound flooding analysis and the vulnerability assessment, to the point the red shows the vulnerability assessment, and then the yellow shows the further extents of the compound flooding. It will look very similar to this, but it's more targeted. So I will leave this with the board secretary.
Okay, great.
Any other questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
have it on my calendar. So the date is the 25th, the public meeting is the 25th, which is Thursday.
Yes, ma'am.
What time?
It's from 5:30 to 7 at the Flagler County Emergency Operations Center.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
And the time again?
5:30 to 7 o'clock. And most of the entire resiliency team from the Northeast Florida Regional Council should be there as well.
Okay, all right. Very good, thank you. I don't have any more questions. Thank you so much again for taking the trip down and doing this presentation for us.
I'm happy to do it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. At this time, we'll open it up for public comment. If anybody has comments or questions on the vulnerability assessment, come on up and state your name.
My name is Benjamin Brandow, FBC class of 1994. I'm just here in support of our self-rising, self-healing shorelines that create tremendous amounts of aquaculture as well as tourism value. I have a 3-minute news program that I've been working on that has you in it. Can I play that for everybody? It'll explain very clearly everything that he was talking about there. That work?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Rare coquina limestone beaches found nowhere else in Florida could soon be buried under millions of dollars of sand. Officials say it's about protecting homes. Critics say it risks destroying a natural treasure that draws visitors from across the country. Congressman Randy Fine helped secure $9 million in federal funding for dune restoration. Engineers plan dunes up to 14 feet high to buffer smaller storms. But some warn the plan may be short-lived. Sand washes away after hurricanes, forcing taxpayers to fund repeat projects while burying the very formations that make the coastline unique.
That our beaches are more than just beautiful scenery. They are the backbone of our community's natural infrastructure, economy, and identity.
County officials say the work is urgent after Hurricane Milton chewed through dunes.
That part of the coast is lower lying, and so just the small storm surge from Milton, which is 2 to 3 feet, right at the top of the dune, and it did erode most of the dune in that area. So it is critical to repair that dune.
But critics argue, what protects the dunes themselves? Offshore reef systems, already being used worldwide, break up storm waves before they hit land.
We want to kill the wave energy. I have the distinction of my family having lost 2 houses in hurricanes. My parents in 2004, me in 2016. So I understand the importance of beaches.
DARPA's Reef Ends program shows prototypes reducing wave power by up to 70%. Unlike sand, they grow stronger over time with oysters and corals, creating self-healing protection, aquaculture, and new tourism value.
People travel the country to visit our national parks. Why? Because being a national park means you're the best America has to offer.
You found a hidden gem with nature up front and center. Yes, Washington Oaks Garden State Park is in Palm Coast and gives you the best of both worlds when it comes to nature. Breathtaking beaches on the coast and colorful gardens inland.
I think this place is amazing because it has so much scenery and picture-worthy and video-worthy things.
But covering coquina with sand could cost Flagler its edge. Tourism leaders say burying these formations turns the county into just another Florida beach, instead of a must-stop for national park visitors looking for something rare.
And I believe that people on their way to Disney World or Universal, as they're driving down I-95 from the East Coast or I-75 from the Midwest, could see a sign that says National Park and get off and see some of these extraordinary natural wonders that are part of what makes Florida, Florida.
Construction begins in November, but critics warn this plan buries one of Flagler's most valuable draws under sand, turning a one-of-a-kind natural wonder into just another eroding shoreline. The question, in a time of waste and abuse, is pouring sand the answer? Or should Flagler County invest in reefs that preserve and promote what makes this coast unique? Reporting from Northeast Florida, I'm Benjamin Brandow.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm an eco tour guide and I'm bored. right now because traffic's down due to market forces and all sorts of things.
Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Any other public speakers?
Good afternoon, Richard Hamilton. Sorry I'm dressed like this. I was going to try and ride over here, but my time ran out, so I do have my bike with me. But I guess I have to apologize to a few people. I thought today was going to be a lot more informative than I believe it is. I really had hoped that there would be some better movement towards solutions to our flooding in the Intracoastal Waterway. I appreciate the data, I appreciate the hard work that's gone into it, and I'll be interested to really look at the data online when we can get that. But so far, it hasn't really seemed to tell us much more than we already know. I think Jonathan Lord could have told us as much. Perhaps, okay, there's a bit more data in there. But what it does show, and which is why we had a very lively debate on the special taxing district. What it does show is the amount of threat to the county from the Intracoastal Waterway and its flooding events as compared to storm surge over the beachfront. I always said my worry as a resident is the water coming in at Matanzas Inlet. And all the things that are going on there, we've seen over this last weekend in Summerhaven, that's what our storm surges come from, that compounded with the flooding and the storm water in Palm Coast. That's what gives you the problem, that's what gives other problem. And I don't know what the answer is. We need to find something, but it's not just the beachfront and the beach sand. And so I hope we progress with this. I hope we find some solutions. And I'll probably tell some of my neighbors to watch the meeting on Thursday, but don't waste too much of your time coming. Let's continue to work on solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public speakers?
I feel I just delivered the solution that he needed.
Yeah, we can't talk from the back of the room, sorry. And the only thing I'll comment is that Flagler County is not in charge of what happens offshore. That's all permitted through the state, through the Army Corps, our federal and state partners. We don't get to pick and choose what defensive mechanism is in place to protect the beach.
And to support you, we brought that up to DEP. We said we really need is to dissipate the waves before they get to the beach. And they said, no thanks, but no thanks.
Okay. You don't have any other public comment. I'm sorry. We have to stick to our rules. Thank you, sir. Andrew, did you want to come back up and speak to what will occur on the 25th? Is there any additional, more detailed information that'll be presented?
I mean, we will have the draft of the adaptation plan, which lists out the adaptation measures for Flagler County. We're also going to have some very detailed maps, far more detailed than I presented here, in a much larger format. And it'll be myself and the regional resiliency manager for the Northeast Florida Regional Council, Farah Alami, and my GIS planner should be there as well to help answer some of the more technical questions about this. That is the best I can offer.
So this is like a preview of what's to come, and I would say that for our residents that they should make a point of coming on Thursday, the 25th.
If they have detailed questions, absolutely, please come, and we'll help address that. But with this presentation here today and the rest of the ones to the municipalities, we wanted to keep it high level, just as what's happened with the vulnerability assessment last year, and then what happened with the compound flooding analysis this year. So that we wanted to keep it very high level and not get too nitty gritty into the details, but we can definitely get into some nitty gritty details next Thursday. I'm happy to do that. That's why we have an hour and a half blocked out to have discussions with the residents.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Just make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
So Taylor Engineering is in the process of working on a benefit assessment, not assessment, what's it? the benefit, what's it called?
You're referring to the MSBU,
Yeah.
the apportionment
Yeah,
study?
apportionment, I'm sorry. So there's an apportionment study that Taylor Engineering is. So I'm going to be anxious to see how much of this flooding issue, if any, turns up in the assessment study with Taylor Engineering. And because we have a large barrier island here in Flagler, there are citizens on both sides of it, on the coastal side and on the river side, lack of a better word, intercoastal side. And then you've got all that stuff in Palm Coast where we dredged huge amounts of canals for boating, which was back then probably a good idea, but right now it's probably hurting us. So we're trying to wrap our head around all of this, and we have anxiety on both sides, all three sides, all the municipalities. And I think your research and your data will bring a lot more information to Flagler County than we think.
Absolutely. The data is, it's all about how it's analyzed. And I wish I was a coastal engineer, but I am not. But some people far smarter than me did the compound flooding analysis. And if Taylor's doing that analysis for you, then they should be incorporating all the data at their hands to do this. So I hope they are. I would bring that up with them in meetings with them. But yes, Flagler County is not alone in that apprehension about what's happening. It is region-wide. Many municipalities are facing some of these threats. So that's why we're trying to band together and make a more resilient region as opposed to everybody going at it alone.
Appreciate it. Thank you. And Richard, hope you can make it on the 25th. Any other public comment? Welcome.
Thank you, and hello to everyone. My name is Matthew Ryden. I live at 330 County Road 80. I came here specifically because I'm concerned with the decision that the administration of the city of Bunnell made the other night, approving this gigantic subdivision, which all information on the compound flooding analysis shows that most of that property is at risk and will flood at some point. Logic dictates that the builder is going to want to fill a lot of that in. Further, logic dictates that when this flood happens, not if, but when, neighbors outside the city of Bunnell are then going to be flooded. And I don't know how it is that the city can make their decision because they haven't informed any of the citizens about their process. They just say, trust the process. If the process in fact worked, dozens of municipalities around us would not be experiencing flooding directly associated with overdevelopment. Speaking of anxiety, everybody who lives around us has anxiety over this decision that was made the other night. And I'm curious how the county can help prevent what appears to be an oncoming disaster. That's all I have to say for now. I look forward to seeing you guys at that other meeting.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I know we have provided, especially based on comments that came back from the state, additional oversight to further guide Bunnell on issues that do affect the unincorporated parts of the county, and we'll continue to do that. So that's about all I got. I can add at this point. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Thank you again, Andrew, for being here on that. We'll look forward to having you and your crew back in town on the 25th. Thank you, sir. All right, we'll go ahead and move to our next item. This is project updates for the Conservation and Ecotourism Recreation Corridor. This is engineering from Kimley Horn. We have, I guess as a component of this, we have our own engineering department, consultant Kimley Horn, our tourism department, and the collage companies are here present to give different parts of the presentation. Mr. Tabassian, how are you today?
Doing well, sir. Good afternoon, commissioners. Hamid Tabassian, county engineer. I appreciate the opportunity on a different subject from compound flooding and its impact. We're going to brief you on the ecotourism and recreation corridor that we got, looking at a beautiful day and enjoying our recreation corridor that is coming up. So, reviewing the agenda for this afternoon, we'll provide a structured update on the Eco Discovery Center project. We'll begin with the broader vision and how the Eco Discovery Center fits into a larger framework of a complementary set of projects, both completed or in development toward creating a conservation and ecotourism recreation corridor. We'll highlight progress on the Sun Trail trailhead, the Old Kings Road shared use path, and the Bulow Creek Headwaters Regional Park project. From there, we'll move into the Eco Discovery Center itself, introducing the project, purpose and benefits of the project, procurement status, and the conceptual plans, and wrapping up the discussions. On the broader vision, the Eco Discovery Center, highlighted on the map by the larger star there, just south of State Road 100 by the pedestrian bridge, is a part of a county-wide vision for a conservation and ecotourism corridor that will ultimately stretch from the northern to southern county lines. Over the years, we have completed a network of trails, parks, and natural resource projects, including the Lehigh Trail, Graham Sohm Trail, and the pedestrian bridge, with several more projects underway. The key upcoming projects include our Bulow Center Headwater Regional Park that is shown here, highlighted in red, and it's over 1,000-acre site that is being planned, fully funded by state. The extension of the Graham Sohm Trail, which is shown on the top of the map there, extending from the currently or recently completed Graham Sohm Trail all the way to the Palm Coast Parkway, and the Sun Trail trailhead that is going to be just by the Eco Discovery Center. Once completed, the Central Sun Trail spine through the county will run from the northern to southern county lines with more than 10 miles from Palm Coast Parkway to the southern limits of the Bulow Park through a continuous conservation and recreation corridor. Many of these projects have been advanced through grant funding and FDOT participation, reflecting a strong alignment with regional and state partnership. A major component of the vision is the trailhead, shown here, that will serve as the northern gateway to Below Creek Headwater Regional Park. It will connect directly to the State Road pedestrian bridge and the Graham Swamp Trail extending to the Lehigh Trail. Planned improvements shown here include parking, amenities, and a connection from State Road 100 for access. This ensures the Eco Discovery Center isn't a standalone building. It will be integrated with the county-wide trail and the recreation network. The project is fully funded for design and construction and is expected to be completed by 2028. Another key element is the Old Kings Road Shared Use
you?
Path project.
Hold on one second.
Sure.
Question, could you go back to the previous slide? Those two bodies of water that are shown and that have some sort of either a fountain, but definitely some kind of a walking fishing path, fishing area, are those natural waters or are those retention ponds?
Those are existing ponds that are not permitted, but they were created here on the site.
They were created on site?
Yes.
It's an old borrow pit area. So it's a kind of a holding spoil site for construction currently, but I think the history is a series of different borrow pits in that area for the construction of 100.
Right. So there's some discussion, literature, or whatever, that talks about using these retention ponds for anything other than what they're supposed to be used for. That they should fill and drain on their own naturally. They should not have features and development on them to keep them from doing what they're supposed to do. So I just don't know how old they are. I don't know how much development we're planning to do. It looks to the left like it's just a fountain of some sort. But a lot of these ponds are being considered natural ponds when they're not. They're designed to hold water and then hold more water. So just be careful on the overdevelopment of some of these, especially if in the design they're supposed to hold water, runoff water.
Absolutely. We just it's shown there because they're existing and they are not a permitted pond. So as part of the Eco Discovery Center project and the other projects that are underway, we'll be meeting with the Water Management District and see if these can be used as our as part of our permit for these projects. You're welcome. The other key elements of our program is the Old Kings Road Shared Use Path, shown here on the highlighted in orange, extending from State Road 100 to the county line. A 5-mile Sun Trail funded project linking Graham Swamp and Lehigh Trail southward to the Volusia County line. It provides direct access to Eco Discovery Center from southern Flagler and Volusia County lines. It also establishes critical connections to Below Park Trail as well. This project is also fully funded by Sun Trail for the design phase and through the local agency program, FDOT local agency program, and federal transportation alternative program for the construction phase. And that is also expected to be completed in 2028. With that, I would ask our Bulow Creek Headwater Regional Park Project Manager from Kimley Horn, Elizabeth Manley, to come and go over the project.
Thank you, Hamid.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair,
Welcome.
Commissioners. Thank you. As mentioned, my name is Elizabeth Manley. I'm a landscape architect and the project manager for our Kimley Horn team. And I represent a much bigger Kimley Horn team of environmental scientists, planners, civil engineers, structural engineers, PD&E specialists. I could go on and on. We also have a wonderful team of sub-consultants, Rhodes Brito, helping us with architectural components, Clary Associates, our survey team, and search for cultural resources. You'll also see DOT's logo on our cover here. Very important, as Hamid mentioned, they're a partner in so many of these projects. They're a direct partner in this project. This is a LAP-funded project, local agency program funded project, and this entire planning phase that we're part of right now is being completely funded by DOT District 5. Hamid already went over, so I'll just quickly review the location of Bulow Creek Headwaters Regional Park. It is outlined here in red. And I could use a pointer. Outlined in red, we've got State Road 100 to the north. We've got that existing pedestrian bridge coming from the Graham Swamp Trail Network and Lehigh Trail Network. We've got the Future Eco Discovery Center right here, directly adjacent to this project. Then we've got Old Kings to the right, that multi-use trail coming down, and our trails being able to connect in. The entire project area is currently owned by the county, and it is actively managed, although it is undeveloped. Also wanted to mention Old Kings Elementary to the northwest, another potential nice connection. Overall, project goals were set by the county as part of the LAP agreement, reiterated by county, our kickoff meeting with county representatives, continued to be developed through our public input session, and overall have really stayed concurrent with what we see here today. So continuing to manage the park as a nature preserve, celebrating, looking for opportunities to celebrate the area's cultural history, becoming a regional destination for resource-based recreation, and supporting in all of that and as a component to this bigger swath of projects all in this area to contribute to the county's overall tourism goals and economic development mission. As mentioned, we are currently within this planning stage, and the whole purpose and deliverable of this stage is to develop a master plan for the overall park in line with those goals and to determine a NEPA class of action. So that's the National Environmental Protection Agency's program that is developed for projects that utilize federal funds like this project, determining basically the anticipated environmental impacts and associated permitting. We have completed survey. We have completed most of our site analysis. We're going to go back and do some field reconnaissance on bits and pieces as we develop design. But overall, our natural inventory is done, natural resources inventory, our cultural assessment is done. We're in the middle of conceptual planning. We had a wonderful public workshop in early summer, June 4th. We had about 40, actually a little over 40 participants, really good input. We're here today, and our next goal is a public presentation and workshop at the end of January. We're also coordinating with our agencies throughout that time period. Just touching on some of our findings to date, we did a full natural communities inventory and analysis. You'll see, I know there's a lot on this slide, but you just basically can see what great diversity we have across the project. Looking at what some of those colors actually mean, we've got great cabbage palm hammock, some uplands with the scrub habitat, a lot of pine flatwoods throughout the mid part of the site, and then of course the saltwater marsh along Bulow Creek. A lot of our natural communities and coverage on this project are wetlands. We've got those uplands kind of as islands along the western side, some nice islands in the southeastern corner, but a lot of wetlands. So we've got Bulow Creek's edge, then the headwaters kind of in the middle of the site, the beautiful salt marsh along the creek edge, and then most of the site is this low mixed hardwood forest with seasonal fluctuations in terms of amount of standing water. There are a number of conservation easements across the site. In blue are wetland mitigation banks that the county owns with, in agreement with the Water Management District. We have a gopher tortoise preserve, also county-owned and in cooperation with FWC. And then a number of easements to the south, and these are parcels that were acquired from Sweetwater Plantation, which is now Polo Club, and a number of those are wetland mitigation banks and some stormwater easements. Search, our sub-consultants did a wonderful reconnaissance level field investigation and desktop research of cultural resources. No major findings, just a brick from the old brick road that runs kind of along the northern corner of our site. But what we can demonstrate here is there is a lot of wonderful history, as you all know very well, in this area, and really look forward to seeing opportunities to reveal it throughout this project. So all proposed improvements are resource-based, and just going to touch on these as we quickly run through some. Proposing about a 3-mile north-south multi-use trail. It's going to look very much like the Graham Swamp Trail and Lehigh Trail, asphalt paved and uplands, boardwalk over our wetland areas, and this nice continuous trail from north to south. We have opportunities for some unpaved trails. Maybe some of those have some boardwalks where we've got particularly seasonally wet areas. We're connecting to our beautiful existing pedestrian bridge over State Road 100. We're proposing a trailhead to the south to bookend that one that the one at the Eco Discovery Center that Hamid pointed out. Trailhead's going to look very similar in character and the great way things are revealed and architecturally connected within many of your other parks. Proposing a restroom, and these are just different images of what that could look like. We're designing this for the next few months, and we'll bring back some new ideas. But the concept here is just trying to make it real and emulate that architecture of the real history of our site. Similar picnic pavilions, many different approaches, different styles, but all, again, creating a nice, consistent character that's in line with your other projects as well. One of the most exciting things to us about this project is the ability to offer new water access along the creek. The creek is just so beautiful along this project's interface and edge. So seeing the opportunities for some piers, fishing piers that could also be wildlife observation areas, birding opportunities, just interacting with the waterfront. So just some example images. See a nice opportunity for a canoe or kayak dock, maybe even a launch. We're looking right now at a floating launch that may be very possible, and that could tie into the Ruin State Park launch to the south. So we're talking about a 2-mile run to the north. It's already a blue way, so just really completing that vision. And throughout, looking for opportunities for wildlife observation, locations, platforms, little view areas, environmental education, cultural resources education, history education. And here's where we currently stand with the layout. Again, working on this over the next few months, and we'll present a more refined design in January. But just to orient everybody again, State Road 100 up here, Eco Discovery Center to our left. You see the blue stars, those are places where folks will be able to come into the project, the entries of the project. And you see 2 right here next to the Eco Discovery Center, with one being a direct connection into that trailhead that was just highlighted. So coming off the pedestrian bridge, coming off the sidewalks of State Road 100, coming from the Eco Discovery Center, coming in, and then this line here, the black and the orange, represent that north-south multi-use trail, about 3 miles, black asphalt, brown boardwalks over our wetland areas coming down and then connecting into that multi-use trail along Old Kings. So it's just going to be a fantastic network. Trailhead positioned here in an upland area, nice and central to the project, close enough to our vehicular connection point, access point off of Old Kings. So coming in, driving, trailhead here. Waterfront amenities, those fishing piers, wildlife platforms, birding areas here on the creek or somewhere in this area. We're still figuring that out. And then a nice connection back to the trailhead. Is this just a trail? Is this a drive? We're still figuring that out too. And by figuring it out, I mean that we're talking to our agency partners in terms of permitting implications. We're talking to our environmental scientists on what would be best. We're talking to the county's environmental specialists, and just continuing to design for the next few months, again, with that goal of end of January public meeting. So overall, thinking of this project really as the demonstration space or the backyard to showcase everything the Eco Discovery Center is setting up and educating folks about. All right, at this point, I'll turn it over to Amy and her team.
Chairman, I have a question.
Absolutely, go right ahead.
Could you go back a slide?
Sure.
So everything that's not in green is gray, and that is a potential annex property into Flagler Beach with multiple family homes. In my research on that, I believe it was Mr. Moylan told the developer that there is a county ordinance against docks, privately owned docks on the Bulow River or Creek. So have we looked into that to see if this particular fishing pier violates our own ordinance or not?
We are looking into that now. We are just exploring what may be
My only
possible.
concern upon that is if we do it and the people across the canal or across the creek want private piers or docks or whatever, it's going to be pretty hard for us to do one and tell them not that they can't. So I guess anything that's already currently existing on Bulow Creek is grandfathered in, but I think you're going to find there's an ordinance prohibiting this kind of structure. But I'm sure you'll do your homework on that.
Yes, we
And
certainly
I
will.
want to make
And-
sure
and-
that we don't do something that other people are going to ask for.
Hold on, I'd like to get this Attorney's comment.
I want to clarify, I mean, it is established common law in the state of Florida that we as a county, if we're going to establish a public dock or a public pier under the river, if there's a county ordinance that prohibits it, that doesn't necessarily mean that the county is prohibited from doing so. It's established Florida law that if it's a public purpose, that the county can proceed to do so, and that doesn't necessarily excuse the public of a private individual from then not having to abide by a county ordinance. It's the old common law domain that the king can do with his land as he pleases.
I just see it being a problem, but that's all right, maybe not.
Yeah, I was just going to second it. The proposal is for a public recreational pier, and we'll look into if that makes a difference as well. But yes, we are having meetings with the Army Corps, with the whole county team, looking into making sure that what we are proposing is not only in line with the goals of this project, but adheres to all the regulations of the county as well, and the Florida Building Code.
Ms. Richard?
I've also got a question for you. I ask simple ones. I don't know when you've been out there and what you've seen recently. About 2 weeks ago, I think, there was a sign that came up across the street, directly across the street, looking at a development. And we've already got a couple of letters. I have, I'm assuming everybody else did, people concerned about it, and I don't want it to take away from, it's going to be a Del Webb project, and they don't normally build small projects. And I'm assuming it's right behind Graham Swamp. So I just don't know if you were aware of that, And that may affect some of our plans on how we're going to develop that section, knowing that that might have some more traffic problems and so forth, more density.
Right, right. Yeah, we are looking at the developments that are proposed directly adjacent to this project, and we've got them just very conceptually shown here and here. These are projects that have been previously
But you were not aware of the Del Webb one that just came up, right?
We were told there was more in this area potentially, but we'll look into that
Okay,
one.
The
Right.
Del Webb one is north of 100. So as you look at this map where it says Graham Swamp,
Here.
it's north of 100 over toward that corner of the picture.
Yeah, it's by Graham Swamp.
Right, but it's on,
Backing up to Graham Swamp.
Right.
Graham Swamp too.
but north of 100, so not adjacent to.
I understand, but it's right in the facility, it's right in the,
And Mr. Chair, just probably 45 minutes before lunchtime, I did receive a notification from the city attorney of Flagler Beach, from Drew Smith, of the formal notification of their intent to annex the property, the entire property adjacent to this parcel to the east.
Okay.
In addition to that parcel, I guess on the other side of John Anderson Highway as one contiguous portion in order to proceed forward with their annexation. I've got to review it. I actually asked for all the legal descriptions to try to match, because they just sent me a broad map, not identifying the properties, so I can match it with the property appraiser's map to exactly determine what it is that they're annexing and whether we need to take a position on whether this annexation is consistent with Florida statutes.
Okay. And if you haven't driven down Old Kings Road lately, the area opposite of the blue star at the bottom is all under development.
yeah, saw it.
Well, I mean, it was the majority of that was already cleared. It was a
It's in a water
it was a
project?
ranch. It was, so most of the upland that they've developed was cleared, but it is all under construction now.
Right.
So more important that we preserve and.
Yes, all the more reason
Not
for
questioning the
this project to
preserve,
happen
but
now.
what do we do? Will we have enough here's another thought to the parking. This county is not like a lot of other Florida counties, and we're very shy on parking for the most part. So if we're going to have a facility where people are going to come, I'm very concerned about not having enough parking spaces, and that would then not give the opportunity for us to have the visitors to come there. And it's going to be very limited if we don't have it. And I didn't see anything about the parking, but I haven't seen everything about it yet. But I do want to mention that that's, once we get that flow of people coming from the east and the other side, it's a concern for me especially.
Right. Yeah, just to stress, this is still very
I know, premature,
schematic,
I get
but noted. We'll follow your land development code. We'll follow our
Of course.
best practices in terms of park design and trailhead design. We also try to look for overflow parking opportunities that are just potentially grass or other unpaved types of approaches to allow for those event-type days. And again, not to keep saying the same thing, but
No,
with
that's
all
okay.
of these projects coming on at the same time, wonderful opportunity for shared parking, shared resources as folks come for events or special race days or other things like that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just see it as being a huge wildlife habitat sanctuary. With all of the tree clearing and the space that's going to be robbed from this habitat, across 100 or not, I mean, there's dead animals all day long on 100. So this is going to become almost the only space south of 100 and east for these animals to go. So we need to protect what space they need.
We have that. we have a big
I
problem
can
with
see it as being a huge hog problem.
I was just going to say, we have a huge hog problem.
problem,
And even the cemetery nearby has been, attacked by the hogs. So we have, concern for that too. It's a very, very tricky spot there, so we wish you the best.
Yes. Yes, when we're thinking of all that with our development, trying to concentrate that the recreational elements in line to leave plenty of room for wildlife flows and land management activities.
Thank you. I guess that's it. Is that it?
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Nancy Hanson, you good? Thank you, Ms. Manling. Appreciate the presentation and the update on the park. Having grown up on South Old Kings Road, I think it's a great opportunity, to showcase that part of Bulow, the headwaters and the natural beauty of Bulow Creek. And so look forward to this advancing. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners. Amy Lukasik, Tourism
Good afternoon.
Development Director. I'm here today to give you a little bit of background, the timeline, the purpose, and the benefits of the Visitor Eco Discovery Center. And starting off with the background of how and why the Visitor Center came to be, back in 2019, the Tourism Development Office did a strategic plan in partnership with our partners, tourism industry stakeholders, elected officials, the community, and one of the objectives was to develop a state-of-the-art visitor/destination center to increase awareness and in-market experience. So when all the conversations first began is, hey, there's not a visitor center in its typical form here in the community, and that's a huge miss. I will direct your attention to item B3, because this also plays into part in the development of the Eco Center. It says consider opportunities to expand beyond just your typical information distribution. Think of things like performance-based tasting stations. So this was kind of the way that visitor centers were evolving at that time. And then, of course, along came the county strategic plan, and some of those goals and objectives fit right in line. Objective EV, Economic Vitality 1.2, to increase visitor spending in all tourism-related sectors. And then the last one I'll call your attention to as well, expand and enhance options for cultural, leisure, and recreation activities. Another strategic plan priority that's not in here was for us to focus more on ecotourism. The community felt like we have a lot of, they called them magnets, and that there was a lot of opportunity to further promote and enhance. So because of the location of the visitor center, you think about the pedestrian bridge, the Bulow Headwater Regional Park, it was a no-brainer to begin to merge and align and maximize all of those strategic priorities. Here's a high-level milestones that the project has seen. Like I said, in 2019, it was when it was TDC and BOCC approved. In 2020, we started our research and due diligence on searching for a possible location. We also had partnerships with Northeast Florida Regional Council. That continues. One of their strategic goals is to develop ecotourism more in the region. I think that's kind of what they want to be known for, kind of their branding. And then also during this time, the city of Palm Coast and the county, they did a collaborative parks master plan. So there was a lot of those same messages, more quality of life, more outdoor recreation, trails, those sort of things. So all those other entities and plans and feasibility studies were all kind of what led us to developing it to be more than just a visitor center, but the theming would be to focus on ecotourism. I'll call your attention to the green pulled out box. This is when the TDC gave final approval of a dollar amount of $10,362,000 for the project. And then in March of this year, the BOCC approved the recommended shortlist of the 3 design build firms for final RFP advancement. And so it was during that meeting, during that conversation, that we were waiting still to see if we were going to get legislative funding to help with this project. As you know, for 2 consecutive years, we were a county commission priority for legislative funding. One year we made it to the budget for $5 million. Got vetoed last year. The House put in some money, but not the Senate side. So We made that commitment in March to this board that whatever the outcome would be of legislation, our budget will not exceed the 10.3 that was TDC approved. Also during this time, we have completed a NEPA study, a cultural assessment, and site survey. So the purpose of the facility is to promote Flagler County. It's a visitor center in its own right, but also we want to create new revenue streams, diversify our tourism assets and the economy, and more evenly across the community, increase the visitor spending while in market and generate new dollars into our community, and also encourage new business development within the county. So the visitor center is that catalyst for the strategic plan priority. This is the conversation of, hey, we have so many other great things, but nobody knows about them. How can we get people to spread out in the community, share the wealth, share the tourism dollars outside of the barrier island? And that's the part of the visitor center's mission. The second bullet point is to enhance the quality of recreation and tourism opportunities. Again, back to that strategic plan initiative and those other studies. So once we have this very robust ecotourism asset, we will then promote, market our extensive trail system. It'll allow us to attract new visitors, then serve them, and then generate more dollars into our community and local businesses. Also, we are to partner and support with other local entities within the county, including private-public partnership opportunities. I will tell you that those conversations have already begun. We have an outline of, or I should say a plan of action for our pitch deck that we've been working on and started those conversations and motions behind the scenes of getting private-public partnerships in this facility. This facility will not only serve as a visitor center, but also an education facility, recreation rentals, locally sourced gift shop, bathrooms, additional parking and event and meeting space, permanent office space for the Tourism and Economic Development Office. I will tell you that the City of Palm Coast did a feasibility study for meeting space, and we did find that more is needed. But we also would use it as our revenue generator. For us, it would host our indoor programming. Nonprofits would be able to use it. Of course, we're thinking about events, whether we host them or someone rents it out during the weekends, food trucks, reunions. So also it would serve as a central point. There's been discussions for a long time about shuttling people to the beach because of the parking challenges in Flagler Beach, so that this center would serve that purpose as well. And the benefits that it would bring to our visitors and residents. As a reminder, the tourist development tax was created specifically to grow and further promote tourism. We are guided by statute and the TDC that we invest these tourism tax dollars into marketing, events, destination enhancement, and tourism-related infrastructure that will further attract visitors, fill hotel rooms, and generate more millions of dollars in overall tax revenues. The visitor centers support these types of investments when well-designed and thought out, and an increase in overall spending beyond the tourism tax has an economic multiplier effect in the community because of the direct influence that visitor centers have. So without a visitor center, you may only visit one or two main points of interest or attractions in the community before leaving. But with a visitor center, you have staff that's able to recommend hidden gems, maybe events around town, even just stop by another restaurant grab some lunch before heading out. So sometimes those 2 to 3 extra hours over time, over thousands of visitors annually, that generates hundreds of thousands in new spending. This project is financially self-sustaining and a one-time investment that is 100% paid for by the visitors. So the visitors are paying for a visitor center. No local ad valorem taxes are used ever. And I'll share just a little bit of the tangible financial benefits. As I mentioned earlier, we've already identified some of our direct revenue that we seek to generate within the facility. That's there in the blue box. And indirect revenue, increased visitor spending, and that would overflow into lodging, dining, retail, entertainment, and recreation. So the visitor center influences all those buckets. The visitor center is the mechanism that makes those shifts possible by intercepting the traffic, upselling, and encouraging longer and deeper stays. We have data that shows that by extending their stay by another night is highly effective through visitor centers. Our staff are industry professionals, and we're the subject matter experts in managing visitor centers. For tax-based growth, increased tourism, as you know, contributes to the overall tax base in sales tax and the tourist development tax. Also, property values rise when quality of life amenities are expanded. And some of the resident benefits, it helps stabilize year-round jobs within the tourism sector, which is currently 18%. And I will say, I don't know if I touched on it earlier, but one of the benefits of focusing on ecotourism is when you look at our annual revenue, we have what's called a shoulder season, and that's from August to February. And those in the industry can verify that. And it's mainly because the weather, it's not as bright and sunny, kids are in school. So ecotourism helps fill and stabilize that 6-month gap, that downturn that we have in revenues. And so a lot of times hotels aren't able to, they have seasonal help. Well, hopefully, if we have another strong tourism asset that we can stand behind and promote, then that will help stabilize those revenues during this shoulder season. It also helps strengthen the small business, increasing customer traffic. Again, that would be through the visitor center awareness. There will be new visitor spending. It helps offsets the need for resident tax hikes. Currently, 20% of all the spending that happens in our county is because of visitors. So that could be a key performance indicator, a KPI that we can monitor and track ourselves, because we want to see that increase, because the more money that the visitor is spending, ideally, hopefully, the less the residents have to spend. It'll have educational programming available to local students and regional for field trips, volunteer opportunities. Again, some of the things that are happening behind the scenes is we're looking to structure a Friends of group, Friends of Eco Discovery Center. So that's another partnerships that we've already engaged with. And then lastly, a high quality, 100% visitor funded community asset. So if we increase visitor spending just by 1% by those efforts, this will create millions of new dollars circulating in our community. We know this past year in visitor spending alone, we had $600 million. So you take 1% of that, $6 million. Even if you have 3% or $3 million of that, that's all new money into our community. The other nice thing about the Eco Discovery Center and focusing on those recreation activities is that when coastal storms do happen, this helps kind of stabilize that downturn that we often see, that dip in revenues as we recover from a storm. And that concludes my presentation, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you.
Do you have, a lot of this was before me, so just, do you have a long-term plan on how this center is going to impact your budget? You're going to be able to keep all this? Obviously, you're going to have to, right? Because you only have 2 pennies, right? So
Yes.
you're going to have to
self-sustain, yep.
Right, you're going to maintain being self-sustained, obviously.
Yep. We have about now, because we do pay rent, we still have all those bills, we have about $100,000 that just goes just to being in our location. So already if we just transfer $100,000, it's a wash. But the goal, of course, is to not just be self-sustaining, but to to generate additional revenue so we can do improvements and other type of programming. We did do a 5-year financial analysis, very conservatively, of what each one of those buckets of revenue streams could bring to us. And the first year, we looked about a little over $200,000 the first year. Again, that's not even in taking into account any future public-private partnerships, which we feel pretty confident about. A lot of businesses, organizations will want to be a part of this project.
Explain how that would work. How would a P3 work?
So if there's certain features or exhibits, could be done by Publix, FPL, hospital, any type of display we wanted to do. It could be sponsored by, I believe the design team's going to touch on that a little, so I don't want to take completely, but.
That's fine. Thank you.
Amy, I have a quick question too. Of course, I'm going to ask you about parking spots because we're talking about all of these people coming and they got to go somewhere, and let alone using it as a bus depot for the beach. I mean, it sounds great, but I just don't see it with all the nature around it. That's just me. How many staff members do you plan? And the other thing is, what's the square footage of the building? I don't remember the plan, so maybe you can refresh my mind on that.
Most of those questions are for
these fellows
these
here?
guys. Yep.
I can't wait to hear them. Okay. Well, I'll leave it to them
Yes,
then.
but
I'm
I can
looking
answer
forward to
the
it.
staff. So we pretty much know opening the doors. We look to seek volunteers, of course, and that Friends group is a big part of that. But we know that the 5.5 of us can take shifts.
Okay.
Yes. And
The
it would be a
current
great
5.5
problem to
we
have.
know.
Yes.
Okay.
That we've had on staff for 10 years, the same.
So the same crew's going to be with you. They promise to stay.
Knock on.
Okay, thank you, Amy. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Lucchese.
For this project, we're utilizing.
You have to state your name again for the record, Hamid.
Yes, sir. Hamid Tabassi,
Thank you.
county engineer. For this project, we're utilizing the progressive or phase design build to deliver the project. We select a qualified design build team under a single contract, primarily based on qualifications. County staff and the design build team work collaboratively to advance the design with real-time cost input to guide the decisions. This open book process allows us to maintain control over quality, budget, and innovation while ensuring flexibility as the design develops. We also have the option of taking the off-ramp in case once at the end of phase one, which is the design phase, and at the time of the GMP, the guaranteed maximum price for phase two, the construction phase, to take the off-ramp option and bid the project as a hard bid or design bid build process. The exhibit on the right or the diagram there, it shows you that continuous collaboration between the county and the design build team under one single contract, and as I explained, the diagram at the bottom there, it shows that during the initial phase, the RFQ, the request for qualification, and setting the requirements of the project, the county is taking the lead there, and then once we enter into a contract, that collaboration between the design build team and the county is basically, with this process, is at maximum. the two-step process that the progressive design build or phase design build process that we are utilizing, it was started by issuing the request for qualification. The board approved the shortlisted firms on March 17 of this year. Following that, we issued the request for proposals on April 3rd of this year, which included the description of the work, the goals and objectives of the project, the overview of the phase design build process, services and deliverables that would be required by the design builder, and the project requirements and provisions of the work during the design and construction phases. And in addition, the proposal submittal requirements that included the proposed work plan and conceptual plans development by the design build proposers. Those proposals were received on May 28th. The evaluation committee and then followed by presentations on June 29th, June 9th of this year, and following that, at a public meeting, the scores of the evaluation committee were announced, including the price proposals submitted by the proposers. That took place on June 18th, 29. The result of that was the table that you see here, and with that best value, basically evaluation that included the proposals that were submitted, the technical proposals, and the price proposal. The top ranking firm was determined to be the Klaj companies. At your tonight's meeting, we'll recommend award of the phase design build contract to Klaj companies, allowing the project to move forward into the detailed design phase. At this point, I would ask the design build firm to come and go over the proposed design.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been waiting on you. I've been waiting. It's exciting.
This is the collage team.
This is the collage.
The team. All right. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Welcome.
My name is Bob Gilbert. I'm with the Collage Companies, and as a Flagler County resident, I'm excited to present this to you and move forward with this. Collage Companies has been in business 43 years. We're actually into our 44th year. And, our motto is to build projects that strengthen the foundation and the fabric of a community. And we couldn't think of a better project that meets our model. And as we walk through this and we present it as a team, you'll see what we're talking about here. We put together a team that, as you can see above, that has Rhodes and Burrito as our architect. We have also a local company out of Flagler, JPA, that will be working the architectural support and bringing some of those that into our project. Catalyst is landscaping. Another local firm right here in Bunnell, SWA, will be our civil engineer. BBM with structural. Our MEP, meaning mechanical and electrical, and plumbing will be the TLC. And this is the exciting part, which is MDSX, which will be working on the exhibit designs, and we'll present that to you a little bit. And of course, we brought in a local Flagler County subcontractor to help us so with a familiarity with the site and the local strata. You know, when you put out your RFP, you specifically asked questions of the firm, and you chose us for us to look at as our qualifications and related experience, our staffing and our project organization, our work plan, how we plan on building the project, and our technical approach, and Rhodes and Burrito will get into that. Our conceptual development submittal, meaning our conceptual design and our cost, and our references. We looked at multiple projects that we've done that met that criteria. We just finished the design build project in Bunnell, the brand new public safety complex. It was dedicated a couple of weeks ago. We're currently working on remodeling the Coquina Historic City Hall. That's an extremely challenging, but it's very rewarding project. We created a park with a full, with all kinds of bringing the local community in, the Flagler County Nexus project, the Orange County Multicultural Center, and of course, bringing some of that educational and some of that tourism in the Sebastian Fishing Museum that we've completed. So I'm going to turn this over to Rhodes and Burrito, Ruffin, and let him walk through the design.
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Ruffin Rhodes. I'm a partner and principal at Rhodes and Burrito Architects. Assisting me will be Adele Shalaby. He's also a partner and principal at Rhodes and Burrito Architects. We're both architects, been in business for next year will be 30 years. So it's an important milestone for us. We're really excited about that 30th year and being in business. This project, as been mentioned, is a progressive design build, and at the heart of progressive design build is collaboration. We've not had the opportunity to really engage actively with Amy and her team yet, but everything we're going to show you is preliminary because we've not been able to sit down and go through all the details of what we presented on June 6th or 9th to the selection committee. We're very happy to find out that we obviously move forward in negotiations and hopefully move forward after this today. But collaboration is really what it's all about. And working with Collage and our whole full set of design partners, as you saw in that previous slide, and we're looking forward to working with county staff and to make this a wonderful visitor center. So what this project is, as Amy discussed, is the heart of what this project is about is to educate and inform and to make people aware of the cultural awareness and the ecological assets that you have here in this community. We created a palette of images of things that we felt, based on the RFP and our research, of things that really have jewels in this county. I've learned so much about Flagler County in these past 6 months that you really have a unique story and something to really share. I think combined with the planned Bulow Creek expansion, these two, the visitor center and that project will really work together to really bring people here. I'm a Rails and Trails and that's what I do. I bike and I run and I walk on the trails. So this will be worth people traveling from South Georgia, and it'll become a destination. So these things are important for us to consider as we did the development, and you'll see that we've decided to use a lot of the materials and the planning and consideration into how this center would be designed. So, and you've seen this before probably, but this is the site is in green or in the yellow rectangle there. It is located about 3/4 of a mile from I-95 and State Road 100. This is the planned Bulow Creek expansion, the 1,000 acres we heard Elizabeth discuss. We're really looking at how and we're part of that team also, so we're really hoping to integrate the architecture and the campus together in ways that really would make it as one campus and all. So now we're going to look specifically at the site. So this is what we've shrunk it down so that you can see the total site. And there's some great assets here on this site. What you see in this blue line is what we anticipated are wetlands that are occurring there. It's interesting because you can see it from the aerial and see the cypress trees that are there, and it says, you know, let's stay away from that. That's a big consideration for us on this site. We want to minimize the footprint of everything and leave this environment as natural as possible and get people to appreciate the ecology of it and the environment and the sustainability of this site. Obviously, Highway State Road 100 is to the north. Some things we need to be aware of. There are, you know, noise and traffic up there. We have to think about where this building would be located. If you look at the oranged areas, these are possible locations that we considered. And you'll see where we place it in the next slide. There is a natural land bridge that sort of bifurcates this area. And so we'd like to consider that and utilize that for access. I think it's being used for tractors and trailers going across there now. And of course, the burrow pits that you see there on either side that are now lakes, beautiful ponds and lakes there that could be used as an asset in views. We recognize that this is going to be connected to, or could be a connection to, the Lehigh pedestrian bridge that you guys recently built, I think a couple of years or so ago. And so we need to have some connectivity to there. Again, all this vegetation is important for us to maintain, keep a small footprint, and that's really what this project is about, is to get people to appreciate that Florida environment, that Flagler environment, and preserve that, and to educate them on that. Again, making connections to some of the other areas. You've got the Oak Kings Elementary School that could come and visit this site. So these are things that we took into consideration. Now I'm going to kind of mix you around here because I'm flipping the site 90 degrees. And the important thing is, so we wanted to get everything on the site, so we felt it's important. So north is to the left, and State Road 100 is over here. Now, I'd want you to consider that this area here is really what we responded to in terms of our proposal and what we're doing. It's the building. This is the location of the 10,000 square foot visitor center. We've located it there for a couple of reasons. It has a minimum footprint to impact the natural environment. It's fairly level. It's nestled into the existing landscape there because we were trying to bring the environment into the building so people can actually see and be a part of that. There is and you'll see the plan later, but there's an outdoor canopy that extends to the north. And the parking that happens to the south of this, I think we're around 90 to 95 parking spaces somewhere in this area here.
Along with some bus parking as well.
Along with some bus parking, so you would, bus parking would come drop people off, and here's a bus parking here. There's an access roadway that comes along here, which we would use. And so, again, this is a master plan. Not all of it has to be built at one time, but we certainly...
Could I stop you for a minute?
Yes.
We don't have access to your pointer.
We can't see what you're
We can't
pointing
see what you're
I'm
pointing.
sorry.
That's okay.
All
You need
right.
to give us a little more verbiage on that.
Okay, so, all right.
Use the numbers over here on the side or something.
Okay. So just real briefly, the white portion or the number 10 is where the new building would go. We located it there, just to reiterate, is because this building is supposed to be a respite. It's to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city traffic on 100. It's located away from that, and it provides a place of discovery as you come inside and go across the land bridge and into there. There is on the entryway, if you go to State 100, number 1 and 2, this is the main entry. We'll need a decel lane to come inside off of 100. If you see number 1 there, that's where that decel lane would go. And if you're headed east, you would turn right into the parking area there. If you're headed west, obviously, you would turn left into that whole area. The number 2, yeah, there is an existing curb cut there. Number 2 is where we would have a monument, sort of a milestone sign to really sort of highlight where this location is. And as you come in, there is some parking, and these are other amenities that would be there. We don't have to do those at this time. And those are part of a whole master plan. And so really to understand how this site is developed, we really need to look at a total site and campus to make sure that everything flows and works and integrates well. And so as you come in, you'll make that curve, and then you'll go into the back into where the Discovery Center is. So everything that you see here as far as amenities, there's a junior range trail, art and sculpture garden, island, dock, and fishing. These things can be, as Amy discussed, things that are sponsored by other corporations, kind of like what Disney World does, and the IBM this and that, or so and so and so and so. So there are opportunities for those amenities to be sponsored by corporations or other entities so that they can build at their time or when there need to be. There's a lot of opportunity for revenue generation, as she discussed, wedding venues, outdoor fishing, or planning and hiking. So those are some of the things that we'd like to talk about. And then we've had a boardwalk that goes along the perimeter of the site that can, again, be constructed in phases. These things are designed to not be intrusive on the natural environment. And that's the goal here. We want to keep and minimize that. This is a beautiful site, has great energy, and we want to make sure that we keep that in order to have people there. It's designed to be experiential. People need to touch, feel, explore, understand that so that they can learn and be informed of what's going on this campus. So with that, we're going to hand this over to Adele.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
If you don't mind, is that okay? I'm curious as to why number 16 is a lawn event on this side, and yet the event area itself, the main portion of what we're supposed to be doing here, is way back. I see there's parking on both sides, so I'm just wondering why it was not in line with the other, where the private partners, the P3s, will be. In the front, we're losing them if they have to go to the back. In my head, I don't know how far that distance is, but to me it would seem more apparent that it would all be by the parking area rather than an event area. I don't know, maybe there's a reason for that, that's why I'm asking.
There is parking nearby.
Yeah, I'm talking about number 16 and 10.
Right. Again, this is designed to be an outdoor wedding venue or stage or
Right.
For any events that may happen. And
It looks like you got another thought.
Yeah. So it's not another thought. So my name is Adele Shalaby. I'm with Rose and Brito. The intent of what we were looking at, an overall master plan, the design for the RFP was looking at the building component, and they wanted to have some sort of outdoor venue to be addressed. If you look at the previous slide, what we looked at, if you look at the north part of the north part of the property, we figured out it was a smaller parcel, so we opted to go to the south side. One thing that we were looking at, the northern parcel, which now you look at here on the left side of the screen, could be parking and some open area that connects to the trail on that north side. We opted to go on the south side of the parcel to have the proposed building that we're looking at. As Ruffin has mentioned, it's a respite, it's isolated from the outside, you go all the way to the back, as well as having the wedding pavilion back there. The reason is, if I have a wedding pavilion, I want to have catering, I would need it to be closer to the building. So that way I'm connected to it, rather than I have the wedding pavilion up front and I have to drive all the way in the back. So that way they work hand in hand. Well, I'll go through the plans further.
Okay.
And you'll see the relationship, why we picked that location.
I was just a little,
No problem
I'm
at all.
thinking of a smoother entry and exit. Okay, thank you.
In addition to that, please be reminded that this is just our preliminary concept.
We didn't mute anybody.
We just did this off our brain, collaborating. We didn't get a chance to really talk to Amy and all those guys. So as we engage in those collaborations, we'll move pieces around. And again, not all of this has to be built at one time. And so those can be built and subsequently. So,
And as you can see from the conversation between Ruffin and I, it is a collaborative effort. So we took a lot of fun. We minimized the amount of slides that we're going to show now, but there were so many iterations that we went through. So I'll just go ahead. So we'll jump through the following slides and go to the floor plan. So this is just to bring you in context.
You both have to share the mic so that we can pick it up on the...
I thought I was loud enough. So here, looking at the floor plan right now, north is to the left. So I'm just going to jump to it and show the floor plan itself, just looking at it in context. Part of what we were looking at, shifting the building to that east side, so it's right next to the greenery. It's right next to the building itself. It's part of the context. And what we decided to do, the RFP had specific requirements as far as the office sizes and location, the exhibit halls, the multipurpose. We took some liberties and made some adjustments, and Ruffin has mentioned, and we combined things into one place. We created the exhibit hall, and you'll see in the following slides how it connects from the inside to the outside. We combined the multipurpose room as well as the exhibit hall, and we created an overflow exhibit to act as a pre-function. We wanted to give you as much flexibility as possible so you can utilize them if you wanted to rent the multipurpose room separately. With the exhibit hall, the overflow as a pre-function space, you can do that. You want it's connected to the outdoor patio. That way you can have overlook onto the bodies of water that are there. The exhibit hall could be a separate thing. So what we decided to look at, what opportunities we can give you before we're sitting together. So this gives us some flexibility to work with things. The other thing we decided to do, to create a separation between the multipurpose function and the exhibit hall, we put all the services, which is the elements in gray, between both. So you have the administrative suite, and it has its own separate entrance, and you'll look at it when we go through the site plan, that you can enter in. So that could be another lease space, it could be the office space that you guys are working from. Mm-hmm. So chime in, Ruffin, if you want. And then one thing we did as well was we combined the restroom, so have more services that are all connected with each other. And last but not least, again, we're kind of running through the overall floor plan, and we'll welcome to answer any questions at the end. We created a separate entrance for the kitchen, so for catering purposes, you don't have to go in front of everybody if you're trying to provide that. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, as I discussed earlier, we made this building compact to minimize the impact instead of long and linear, because if long and linear, would have to probably impact more trees and more. So making it more compact allows us to snuggle it into some of the areas that you see. That area in the south is pretty flat, and so that allows us to really get more usable space for what we'll need to do.
So I'm just going to jump into the fun part with some pretty pictures. This is looking south towards the property. Commissioner Kim, do you remember when you were looking at that little island that was pointed out? So it is an island there, so we just created some sort of a bridge to it, something we'll look at. Again, it was just conceptual in nature. So this is as if you're standing on it looking south towards the building, and that's the overlook that we have on the building from looking towards the south. Here is getting closer as you're driving on that roadway coming in, or that access where right now trucks are. This is what the overlook like. It basically brings the inside in, outside in. It's all connected. If you look at the back, you'll see the glass. One thing that we wanted to do is to have a direct connectivity between inside and outside, so you feel that you're all connected. This is on the east side, so it's not going to have direct sun. It's not going to have that much of an impact as far as the sun and glaring, but it creates a different feel, and we'll look at it from the interior pictures as well. Once you park and you walk in, one thing we wanted to do is we wanted to attract you towards the exhibit and what this really means. So we'll have an identifying turtle, so to follow the trail path with turtles, so we have a turtle up here. And then you see that little separation, that there's a wall to the left. This was a coquina site, so this is a coquina wall that we're creating as a separation, where to the left of it, that's the administrative suite. The entrance is not here. The entrance is tucked in from the other side, so you're not seeing people coming in and out. So we're creating that visual separation between the exhibit area with the eco center and then the administrative suite. So you have a little bit of separation when you're coming in. Go ahead, Ron.
Let me add something. The canopy and the columns that are supported by the coquina pilasters are designed to be trees in a sense. And so that's a tree canopy as you come up. So it's really making that connection to the natural environment that you have there. It's a timber framed construction. And so that part will be a timber frame construction. And as Adele said, it is designed to be transparent so they can bring that transparency, the nature inside the whole exhibit hall gallery.
Another request that came in the RFP is creating a selfie wall or an area where people will kind of connect to. So one thing we've created is this mural outside before you get in. It could be a resting area. It could be when the kids come in for a field trip, they could be hanging out here before they get inside. This could be an opportunity for local art to be exhibited, for a lot of opportunities that you can utilize. It could be a seasonal aspect of it where you could change what's happening there. And again, it's linked to the community, so it's connected to what you're doing. Once you step in, one thing that we wanted to do, we wanted to bring the inside out and outside in, so you're connected to the environment. We didn't want to isolate you from the outside, so that's why we created the glazing. Now, the left side of this elevation, it has coquina wall as well that has kind of like bookends what you're having there. So one thing we were talking to ourselves, I want to bring what's outside so I can see what's happening. But at the same time, what would I do with the exhibits? So one thing that we came up with, and we're going to talk a little bit about it in the following slides, we can have movable partitions, movable exhibits. You can create your own enclaves for things that you're kind of creating inside the space. And it's kind of like the middle part, there will be something that the children will play around. So there is so many opportunities when you have an open space, you can move around and create different aspects and different engagement. Like Ruffin has mentioned, we want it to be a touchy-feely environment so you can get exposed to so many things. This is just the inside. We have similar ideas of what could happen outside. So you have exposure from the inside and the outside. There's a lot of depth and wealth in Flagler County. How can we bring it in? And you have exposure on the inside and the outside.
Our team does include an exhibit designer who's nationally known, who can help work with Amy and her team to talk about those type of amenities, whether they're inside or outside, and how those might be done. And so they provided input into this in terms of that. We've got some turtles and else things, an aquarium, digital aquarium. You can touch and feel, the fish will move away. So these are some of the great ideas we had in terms of discussions, and we'd love to be able to engage with her team and talk about how those might work.
And we do have a slide in the end that kind of like touches on that. Again, we're just scratching the surface. As you can see with the passion, we get excited when we do these things. So there is a lot of passion that went through with this. Again, this is another image of showing you what the outside is. So now I'm inside the building looking north. So that's looking towards the north and to the waterway. That way I'm connecting from the outside. To the left of the screen is the pre-function and the multi-purpose space. That's there where, as I walk through, that is the pre-function. One thing we wanted to do as well, this pre-function, that wall to the right is a movable partition. You can have it as its own exhibit if you wanted to. Or you can open it up and it becomes a pre-function to the multi-purpose room, which that's the multi-purpose room. And at the same time, the multi-purpose room has two rooms where you can set them up separately, and as well it has an opening to the back. So again, this allows you flexibility to lease individual spaces, combine them, use a bigger hall. There's so much flexibility that bringing the outside in as well when you're doing this. Right here is the beautiful scene at the end. You're standing on the deck looking outside. Huh?
Faces west?
No, this faces north, facing north. The west side is, or the east side is where the trail end is going to be. Right. And then this is, you're looking north all the way to the front. So this is, I'm taking you back all the way to the front, now looking south, almost nighttime. it's going to be an amazing experience overall. We feel with what we're proposing and then having the input, this is going to be an amazing experience, as Reverend has mentioned, not just just a blip. It's going to be a destination where people will go to. I'm going to move to the following slides, but do you have a question? You good? Okay, just making sure. You want to say something? I was going to go on to the sustainability.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to jump on to the sustainability aspect. We looked at a lot of sustainability options. Again, this is an eco center, so it has to have sustainability options. There's so many opportunities. Rainwater collection, we looked at it. We can have solar panels as well on the building. Gardens, we have community gardens. There's so many things that we could look at. Again, I'm just scratching the surface as we go through. But these are items that we could start looking at honing in as we develop. Yes? Question?
No, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
I come from South Florida. I don't know if you've lived there, but in the Keys, they have a butterfly garden. Have you ever?
Yes.
I watch it every Friday,
Yeah.
Flamingo Friday, and it really, it makes me want to go back to the Keys.
Yeah.
Have a lot of options, is what
Yes.
I'm trying
So
to
we've
say. I
actually
apologize.
shown a butterfly
We've
garden.
shown in the master,
In the
overall,
master plan,
we
there
do have
is-
a
there is
butterfly.
highlight back there.
Yeah.
that talks
It's
about a
it's just
butterfly
amazing.
pollinization
We have a
garden.
lot of them here,
Yeah,
so that's,
yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And again, to your point, that's what we want it to be. It's not just an interior space, just a building. No, it's open inside and out. And as Reverend, we were looking at the overall site, we can put in components when needs to be added. So again, this is just touching up on sustainability. Again, so MDSX that Bob has mentioned and Reverend has talked about, they are very, very creative. There's so many opportunities that they can come up with, but without sitting with the group and going through it, this is just touching the surface. They have options for, they've done so many exhibits, and they work with museums and create exhibits for museums. So there is great opportunities. There is also funding sources they could reach out to, sponsorships that they can help with. So there's so much avenues that they can assist with when it comes to this aspect of the project. With that said, I'm gonna give it to Collage to wrap it up for us.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Keith Kolakowski, Senior Pre-Construction Manager with Collage. Just very briefly, the end result you've seen, how's this going to get built? Who is going to build it? We just want to assure you that we've assembled, as Bob mentioned, a team of local professionals that are going to lead this effort. And then as far as the subcontractors and trade contractors that are going to be involved, we are going to leverage all of our existing relationships here in Flagler County. We're going to do the advertising and public meetings to make it a local success and have that, the costs of this project will be poured back into local businesses for you. So very excited to do this project with you. That's all.
Any questions?
Thank you. A great presentation, great graphics, really tells the story of what your vision is. Any comments for the crew?
I'm more excited than I've ever been. Thank you for your presentation. It really showed us some things that I don't think we were thinking about. And when we go outside the box, we really make it a great box. So everybody's got different expertise, and as a joint, I hope everybody works together well together. That's my biggest concern. We've got great leadership here, so thank you for that.
Ms. Carney, anything else? I do want to, go ahead, Commissioner Hanson.
I just want to point out that this is a long time coming. Remember when we put it together? I forgot what year that was, but we put it together, you and I and staff, we put this thing together.
Yes, you had a heart-to-heart conversation with me and said you need to put it at the end of that bridge.
Right.
Quit looking elsewhere. That's where it needs to go.
Yeah.
So.
But even before that, the strategic plan. that we put
2019. Yeah.
That was good.
Yep. And again, everything you saw, there's no local dollars used to fund this. This is a valuable community asset that is 100% visitors, internal revenue generation that we would create, and those private-public partnerships that would extend past the front portion. We look for all 23 acres, anyone who wants to partner.
The only parts, again, that I'll add is it really is a unique site to be able to work with. If we take the historic uses of it and what we're transforming it into from a borrow and spoil site and actually a working construction site as it is now, utilizing, I think the land bridge is really a unique feature. We're limiting development to those working areas, to where the spoil sites were and that are already disturbed. Personally, we have a unique opportunity to really talk to the public about what an eco-discovery site is. You have a unique opportunity to blend the architecture and the site. So as a landscape architect, my eyes are on how you blend, because I think we have an award-winning project in how we integrate the existing site with the architecture and being able to demonstrate all kinds of, like you said, either water gardens or native plants that a resident can come to the site and borrow ideas from and take back with them. So really keeping an eye on how this works. I did kind of sneak a peek into the Catalyst design group that you've got. So I do know a couple of the gentlemen, Jay Hood, Bruce Hall. So yeah. So just wanted to say a few words about that and how I think the presentation today really wraps the entire corridor together. So as we look through the lens of diversifying our tourism market, trying to pull focus away from the beach. The beaches is the focus and the identity of Flagler, but we know we have to diversify. We've got a great basis for trails that we're expanding on, and this whole corridor from 100 South being able to tie into Volusia County's trail system all the way up through Palm Coast and north through the Sun Trail Network. I mean, Hamid's done a great job in being able to pull funds and resources together for the Sun Trail Network. So everything is pulling together, tying together, and it's really an exciting area, I think, that will benefit the county moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. In closing, I just also wanted to say we have had the pleasure of working with Ruffin and the Roads and Burritos team on Nexus Center, the collagen companies with Roads and Burritos. Like they said, they have teamed and worked on the Benel project and got great references from them. Glad that you liked their presentation. And in closing, I wanted to say that the center is a cornerstone project within a larger network of complementary projects, as you see, that together strengthen our ecotourism and conservation corridor. The center will serve as both a destination and a gateway connecting residents and visitors to our trails, natural areas, and broader Flagler County experience. By using the phase design build process, we have ensured a structured, transparent approach that delivers quality and value within budget, and we're also leveraging opportunities within the Trailhead project to advance cost savings for the center, such as paying for that access road from State Road 100 to the parking lot at the south end. Portion of the parking space would be built and budgeted as part of that trailhead project. And on a personal note, I have shared this with Amy, and I would like to share with you as well that I believe this project is truly game-changing for the future of our county, and I'm genuinely excited about the opportunities that it will bring. With that, commissioners, we'll be glad to address any questions and comments that you may have.
Great, thank you, thank you. We'll go ahead and open it up for public comment and see if we have any questions from the public. So at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up for any public comment that on the project. Come on up and state your name. Pull that microphone down, there you go.
Yeah, short. My name is Susan Rohde. I am a new resident of Flagler County. First, I want to thank you all for all the hard work that you do. It's much appreciated. I came up from South Florida. I know the Butterfly Garden, and they have done this in Palm Beach County. I helped an organization in Broward County do this, and it is a wonderful addition to the community, to the tourism, and the one perk that you got is it's tourism dollars that's paying for it. I was an advocate for most of these places down south. It was hard because it was mostly taxpayer dollars. So that's the one benefit, one of the benefits. I see it as an enormous benefit for the community. I came up here because of the hiking trails, because of the nature, because of the beaches. And there were a couple of things that were said today that kind of stuck out with me. This center is going to be a regional hub for tourism, for everybody to see the beautiful things that are in Flagler County. But one person said, we have a unique story. We're a resilient region, and we're not just another Florida beach. You're not. You're bigger than the beach. There's so much here more. And I, for one, don't happen to have parking issues, but maybe that's because I'm from the South. I've never had a problem finding a spot going to any of the parks. And now as a resident, I like to have my own staycation, spend the day at Washington Oaks, drive down the ocean, stop at one of the many restaurants. So I see this as a benefit for external, as I like to call them, and internal. And another piece of it is the education portion of it. In a former career that I had, I used to come up here and teach conservation, or my team used to help teach with conservation in the Flagler County School District. And the look on those kids' eyes, this is going to provide such an enormous opportunity for children, for families, to be good stewards of the nature, be good stewards of the stuff that's around them, the wildlife, and really learn to protect it. And even the first presentation about the flooding, there's an opportunity for that information for kids to start to learn what can they do with the watershed, what can they do with pieces of the environment to assure we'll all be okay. So I love the project. I hope, I think one of the first meetings I came to, the bridge was one of the things I wanted to go see. And everybody told me it was a bridge to nowhere, and someone said it was the bridge to the future. And I think it was you. And that stuck with me, and I think this Discovery Center is the bridge to the future for Flagler County. So thank you very much, and I love it up here. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Next speaker. Do we have to credit Mr. Sullivan with that, or did you come up with that? Okay.
He's going to claim it. Hey, Chairman and Commissioners, hey, good afternoon. My name's Stephen Baker, and I'm Director of Group Sales at Hammock Beach Resort. And I've been in Palm Coast since, I think it was January of '88. Came in right after Walmart opened up. And I thought that was a big deal. But, man, I've seen so much exciting stuff, and I love Palm Coast. So for me, I tell you what, Amy, I think Susan should be your first volunteer. Right there. I think that's a perfect one for you right there. But I worked 20 years at the Sheraton Palm Coast Resort. Loved that, and I thought I would never leave there. Now I've been 17, almost 18 years at Hammock Beach, and I love that. And so I wish this was done earlier, because I'm 60. And Chairman Dance, I'm like, man, I wish this was done like when I was like 20 when I first came here, but I think it's awesome. At the resort, a big thing everybody's trying to get is experiences. So that's what everybody's looking for. You want to, everybody's got the hotel rooms, the swimming pools, all that stuff, but they want experiences for their families. So that, to me, I think this is a great idea for it. And I can remember sitting in that workshop with Amy, and I sat on the TDC board. So, because, you know, it's, to me, it's so exciting to see some money's being used for it. Amy is a watchdog on the budget. So trust me, she's going to keep that in budget, and she's real protective of her dollars. So I'm not worried about that. Commissioner Pam, you asked a great question about, hey, how are you going to keep the money in line? Are you going to go over budget or not? A great question on there, but I do feel like the volunteers, I feel like we have enough in Palm Coast to help support that on there. And I'd love to see the education side, like Susan said. I think it'll help out so much with the students and what they can learn. But man, I love Flagler County. I don't want anybody else to move here, but I love Flagler County. No, I come over the bridge today, the Hammock Dunes toll bridge. Traffic was backed all the way up to the toll booth, and I was like, my goodness gracious, man, it's not even summertime out here, but I love seeing the people come, and that's why we're all here. Chairman Dance, we all weren't fortunate enough to be born here and raised here and all that, and so I'm thankful for Palm Coast. So big supporter of it, and thank y'all for what you do.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Hey, Eric Zychek. I'm a professional eco tour operator here in the county in Northern. We're privileged to be up there, and this is just a win-win opportunity. I've watched a lot of your departments put this together, a lot of the visioning that you've had, and all I can say, it's a win-win for every opportunity here in this county to create something sustainable for the future, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Hi, guys. Danielle Anderson, Executive Director of the Friends of A18. As you guys know, we have been a staunch supporter of this project since the very beginning. Super excited to see it really actually happening. I would like to remind the gentlemen who are working on the project that there are 2 Florida Scenic Highways in this community, one of which this center is actually located on, which is the Heritage Crossroads. So when you're getting inspiration, please remember to include those in your design. But thank you for being a part of this project. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Richard Hamilton. Actually, I'm wearing this because Danielle interviewed me at 9 o'clock this morning over in Malacompra, and it was inundated with monarch butterflies. It was amazing how many there were. Normally, I'm a great supporter of ecology, of trails. I've been on the Environmentally Sensitive Land Commission I was there 20 years ago when this was being discussed. I was there when we voted to acquire Sweet Bottom Plantation. I think I maybe have voted against it because I thought we were paying a little bit too much for the use. But anyway, normally I'm a great supporter of this. Unfortunately, I have to be a bit of a Grinch today. This is a combination of different projects. You have the Sun Trail project, you have a Trailhead project, which are fully funded. They're part of the Sun Trail. They're part because we were able to get a new Sun Trail designated to go from the Hammock Dunes Bridge to Palm Coast and down Old Kings Road to Volusia. So that's where Hamid's getting the funding. So that piece is great. We need it, and we don't have to spend any money on it. The building, a $10 million building, I am less in favor of. Maybe in the future it should be. We've waited long enough. We can wait a bit more. We do need parking. I mean, that bridge, the biggest complaint anybody gives is we can't park anywhere around it. So we need that. But put the trailhead in there with the parking, with some restrooms, and you have the full use of the trail. A $10 million building, you say, oh, don't worry, it's paid for, it's coming out of tourist development money. That's $10 million of money that you have available to yourself for other tourist-related things, including, of course, the beach. So while you're still struggling to find a way to pay for the beach, Why aren't you putting some of that money towards the beach? So I just don't understand how you can be struggling for the money and doing what to me is a boondoggle. We got nice presentation. They're great presentations. That's what Amy does. She does wonderful marketing presentations. I know Collage, they do a great job. They will do a great job. But do you need to spend that money now? Well, there are so many other pressing problems in the county. I was hoping the coastal study this earlier today would have showed more of the things we have to do, but we've got a lot of infrastructure. We've got a lot of the beach. That's not the only infrastructure we have to deal with. So you have budget problems. You've passed your budget, but $10 million is money you could quite easily use somewhere else. Money is fungible. You can take tourist money, put it to the beach, other infrastructure projects, trailheads on the beach are all fundable with that. So I think you should be looking very carefully right now for the next 2 or 3 years. Save your pennies and put them where you can really need them. And this is not one of those projects. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Yes, sir.
My name's James Fisk. I'm the half part of the TDC. And I'm also a board member of the Flagler County Historical Society. That's the part that really makes this project great because of the educational value that I see that this could come to. There's so much history that's in that area. It's unbelievable. You've got a coquina pit there, which is underwater right now, always will be. But you've got a part of the sand dunes that used to be there millions of years ago. Those coquina pits, when they dug a lot of that out, they came across a lot of Ice Age objects, mastodon bones, woolly mammoth bones, giant ground sloth bones. It's just unbelievable the history we have there. We've got the old brick road that goes through that area, right behind it. That's also a portion of the old Moody Boulevard. 5 members of the Historical Society went from the cemetery to try to find where that road was. We found it. And we came across the area where there used to be a bridge that would go over where the headwaters of the Bulow Creek is. We went beyond that, and there is part of the road there that would make a fantastic trail that comes right out to Highway 100, somewhere in that area. As far as the company that is working on the old Bunnell City Hall, thank you very much. That's well needed. One other thing that I'm going to try to bring up, education-wise, this county was founded on agriculture. Agriculture is the roots of this county. We need educational projects or educational kiosks or whatever at this about our agriculture that was here. I think this is a great project. I'm all for it, not because I'm with the TDC, but this is a fantastic project that will help our education. The bus tours that we're talking about, we don't have a lot of places for students to go to. This is going to be a fantastic place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment?
I might need help with the timer. What do you do to do this? It does it automatically.
You have overhead projector needs?
Ooh, that's squeaky. Hi there.
Hello.
My name is Joanna Mackesy, and I am a homeowner here in Seminole Woods. I've been here 15 years. I couldn't bring you my entire library of, field guides and books, but I've been studying this since I was about, we'll go with 12. And I just turned 46. My birthday was yesterday.
Happy birthday.
So, speaking from the other gentleman that talked, and he said, $10 million is a lot of money to spend, and we could use that money somewhere else. And my thoughts immediately go that is the $10 million that we need, because our children are playing video games, and they need a huge, flashy building to show them how beautiful everything is, because we have to draw them in. So I think that the $10 million is well spent, because this is for the future, and that's what we have to look about, and we don't have any other way to look at this. So if you want to find the research out there, how important this kind of thing is, he did the research for you. Richard Louvre, that book came out in 2005. And I haven't read it in quite many years, but when I just thumbed through it recently, a psychologist, Erik Erikson, the father of human development theories, he says creativity begins with nature, genius of a childhood and the spirit of place. That's what that building's gonna do. It's gonna make a place. We have to have a sense of place to connect to, and that's what that building will do. And it will be really cool. And some other research I pulled from that. I haven't spoken in front of people in so long, I'm kind of nervous.
You're doing great.
So there's 8 million children that have mental disorders. One of the most is ADHD. And as little as 8 minutes outside will have some of these symptoms of ADHD decrease. Not to mention physical education. 40% of 5 to 8-year-olds are having cardiovascular problems and are at risk for obesity. And this is why we have to do this kind of thing, because if you don't put the touch factor there, if you don't take the poor and drive them to a kayak and give them a fishing pole, who is going to do that later? I feel like we're in the middle of the Lorax, and we got one seed left, and we have to use it very, very, very carefully. So I don't want to give all the credit to Richard, because this is a great book. This is Linda Hogan. She's a fabulous writer. But I was going to leave you with this. Anyone who has heard the howl of wolves breaking through the northern light will tell you that a part of them still remembers language of the old song. It stirs inside the body, taking us down from the world of logic, down to the deeper lost regions of ourselves in our memory, so ancient that we have lost the name for it. And thank you.
Any other speakers?
I'm John Phillips, president of the local Chamber of Commerce, and just had a couple things to add. Yes, this is a big expense, but I'm going to use the word investment. This is an investment in our future. Tourism cannot be self-sustaining necessarily, but this investment in our future will come back to us economically and support a lot of different things. Also just want to point out a couple of partners you've probably already thought of, but just in case, we do have a wonderful agricultural museum here in Flagler County. I know that'll be a great partner for us. We also have the Museum of Arts and Sciences in Daytona Beach, which is another great partner as we build something like this. And then the last question I have is really, I believe it was item 16 on your map, the event space. I'm assuming that is going to be an artificial turf field as opposed to natural grass. Number one, and I'll tell you why I would think that, is it makes it a lot more usable, and it's a lot more ecologically friendly because of all the pesticides and things that you have to put down to maintain turf in an area like that. I know it doesn't necessarily make sense to have artificial turf in an eco-discovery center or an eco-tourism center, but at the same time, with our afternoon thunderstorms, that'll make that space so much more manageable and usable, and also with the lack of having to mow the grass, fertilize the grass, would be something that could be very, very self-sustainable for us. So I hope if you haven't considered that, I hope you will. And then the last thing, I love the solar power with the trees, and also might consider some of the parking area if there is going to be covering, or even on the building. It looked like there was a nice roof there. There could be some solar options as well. I know those are expensive up front, but for a facility that's going to be here for a long, long time, again, that's an investment in our future. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Zawadski. I'm a resident here of Flagler County. I was a resident in Volusia County for a long time and been born and raised in Florida, so very familiar with the area. I'm a previously employed professional engineer in civil engineering, so I have a big background in this and I know how much it takes to take these projects from start to finish. I've since retired, according to my children, because now I'm a full-time mom, homeschooling, and I also teach Sunday schools in my spare time. But I like to bring my children out. We go to all kinds of parks. We've been all over. We go to different museums and history things. That's part of our daily life, and that's how they learn. They learn to sit. They don't have tablets. They don't have computers. They don't have screens. The most that they get is at interactions at places like this. We go to the Ormond Beach Environmental Discovery Center often. That's kind of our thing that we do after we get our haircuts. We go sit and we have a picnic. I didn't see any picnic tables, so I'm hoping you're adding picnic tables because we pack our lunch. It would be nice to have that. We like the outside aspect that you guys mentioned too, because when we went to Chicago recently, we went to a museum that was somewhere up in that area. It was a really small local one, but they had a place that you could go and it kind of had that same feel. And there was also another place. We went to the Science Museum that was up there, and the zoo that they had, the Lincoln Park Zoo. And they had like an exhibit where you can like walk in with the monkeys, but you could also be outside of the monkeys, and that was kind of cool because you like felt like you were in the cage, but you weren't really in the cage. Thank goodness. We also like at the Discovery Center down in Ormond, we like the animal ambassadors. They like to see the snakes, and they like to see the bumblebees that they have there. So having animal ambassadors would be very neat if you guys had something like that in your exhibits. Like the touch screen exhibits that you have, that they have at the different areas. Those are neat to have, and especially the kids that are used to being on video games, they like to play those types of things, and it does draw. But also having like reading material would be nice too, and walls with books and words on it would be also nice to incorporate in your designs too, if you could do that. I like the idea of the event room. That would be neat because we also do pianos, and having piano recitals. They're always looking for a place to do a recital in, and they can't ever find one unless it's in some local church. And then there's the whole denomination thing that nobody wants to go to anybody else's. So it would be nice to have a place that you recitals and different other activities could do as well there. And those little libraries that they have where you leave a book and take a book, that would also be something that I would ask for. But we enjoy the hiking and the plants, the butterfly gardens. So thank you for your time. We hope you'll approve it.
Thank you. Great timing. Next speaker. You did great the first time. All right, seeing no other public speakers, I'll bring it back for final comments from the board.
I just want to say, when speakers come here and our residents come here and they share their thoughts, it really does prove that Flagler is the best place to live. And I'm a Floridian. I chose to be here. Our environment is 1 in a million in the state of Florida. So I hope everybody takes home some, we can agree to disagree on things. But what you mentioned about for the children and for the education part of it and all those other things, I never thought about it at the beginning. And as they did their presentation, I got more and more excited about it. So I really appreciate people that come from South Florida too, because they know what madness is, and we don't want to get there. And having that private space of breathing and homeschooling, we have a lot of homeschoolers, kids that are differently trained than when I was a little girl. So anyway, thank you for coming today and sharing your thoughts. We really do appreciate it.
Mr. Hanson?
Yeah, just another good example of long-range planning and how it works. If you just stick to it and march along, and Amy has done a wonderful job doing that. So that's great.
Thank you. Just a few comments. Susan, love to see you as our first volunteer, as was mentioned. Mr. Baker talked about experiences. Having just gotten back from my Alaska cruise, they're called excursions. So I can definitely see as different groups visit Flagler and take advantage of our resorts, this would be a great excursion as they come learn a little bit about Flagler County and also take advantage of the exercise, the canoeing, kayaking, and bike riding. Mission and what we're trying to find is recurring revenue to help with the long-range goal of beach funding, and what we're looking at is a long-term improvement in our quality of life and in our tourism health and well-being moving forward. Ms. Richardson mentioned homeschooling, and I think, right, what do we hear constantly in Flagler County? We don't have anything for kids to do, for children to do. So I appreciate the parents coming out and speaking. It means a lot that you're here today. Immediately, as we had this dialogue, what I thought of is what we don't have. So for my designers, we don't have a sensory garden. We don't have a sensory play place in Flagler County. And you want to bring people to this site and make it usable, put a sensory garden for all of the families that have children with autism or are on the spectrum. And you will make this place a destination, and not just for Flagler, but in the surrounding counties. They'll come. And I would love and 100% support that. So my final comments, thank you very much. Any other items for discussion? Okay, none. We'll be back here at 4:30 for the pink Army and the fire truck outside pictures and a 5 o'clock meeting. So, Mr. Hanson?
I recommend we adjourn.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here.